So I got all your stuff. The Bod Pod is great. I forget how good that is for information.
Also, keep in mind there are bod pods where I'm going. So
Right. So that's going to be your
that's
primary measuring
perfect.
tool. Yeah. Um, so we just, even my gym and people I see, that's just not something that's common.
Hmm.
So it's actually quite accurate compared to stuff I'm used to seeing.
Okay.
So I think all these numbers are really useful. Sometimes they're not.
Okay.
Uh, so body fat wise, I mean, you're pretty familiar with this stuff, or do you want me to go into it a little bit?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay. So whatever the number is now doesn't really matter, right? All that matters is the trend going
Yeah.
forward and what we monitor for progress.
Right. Right.
But you do know you obviously need a certain amount of body fat to survive. If you had zero, you would die, right? You can't maintain that.
Right. Right.
The
There
amount
was
you
a
would,
time when I had very little body fat, so
right.
I'm well aware.
So you have a lot, you still, for your weight,
I
have a lot of lean mass still, it looks like. So,
it's there. I told you we just have to uncover it.
yeah, it's all
It's just
relative, but
slower.
still, the numbers that I'm looking at, I mean, you've got a pretty good amount of lean body mass. So
Okay.
that'll help you transition to a better part quicker.
Okay.
So this 1400, the RMR, the resting metabolic rate,
Okay.
that seems about right. If you were just kind of normal daily life, you'd probably need about 1400 calories. That seems right to me.
Hmm.
So days you're active, it has you going all the way up to 2300, which I think might be a little bit of a stretch. But
Hmm.
I do think the 1800 calorie target is the correct thing for you.
18. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what the data says, that's what it's pointing out.
Yep.
So I
Hmm.
think that's about right. And then to clarify, um, you do want to lose body fat. That's the current objective.
Yes, definitely. I'm not happy. The number, like weight that I'm at right now is like not a normal. Like I said before, I've taken a couple years now, well, maybe a year to slowly, in my way that's manageable, go in the right direction and lose weight in a healthy way that has stayed off. So that's good. But we need to keep going.
Okay.
But and like pick it up, because I was trying to get through a lot of pain, a lot of mental blocks. And I feel like I'm in the right mental space and just healthier than I have been in the last. I mean, I had my daughter 4 years ago. So, yes. So, we want to lose weight and body fat, which is the
Right.
same, right? Well, we don't lose muscle. We want to build
Well, yeah.
muscle.
A lot of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the reason people gain weight back often is because they lose muscle in the process when they diet really, really strict.
Right.
So we don't want to do that. Um,
Right. Which I have done before.
yeah.
Okay.
So again, 1800 I think is the right number. It depends on the speed with which you want to lose it. So the faster the rate, the more likely you are to lose muscle. So most people can only lose 1 to 2 pounds of fat a week. That's sort of the max.
Okay.
If you go faster than that, you're definitely going to have muscle come with that. And then as you get leaner, the rate that you can lose gets slower just because you have less to
Mm-hmm.
lose, right? So that's why, like, Biggest Loser, they can lose 8, 10 pounds a week because the volume of fat is so high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in your case, it's going to be two things kind of the rate you want to lose it. So do you want to do
Mm-hmm.
this hot, like intense dieting for a shorter period of time to get it off, which I know your life may not allow for that in the next little bit? Or do you just want to kind of
Right.
go at a more manageable rate that's a little more sustainable, and there's no, crazy up and down?
Okay. So, and I think you know this, but I think I kind of want to meet somewhere in the middle from what I've been doing and what we could be doing until I can get to the point to go harder, which means settling in Germany. Um, so, you know, it's this thing where I could like, oh, let's just wait till I get to Germany. Let's just wait. Well, I know well enough. I don't, let's like at least get me set up on something that I can do and manage. And if I, don't do it every time or whatever, it's still something. That's kind of what I've been doing. But like, I feel like working with you is going to be even more targeted um, than what I've been doing. I told I've just been kind of making sure I get 30 minutes a day and getting back into weights, but now I want to be more specific, especially since we have all these lovely numbers and stats and stuff. But full disclosure, it's about to be a stressful,
Right.
chaotic time. And so I feel like I can definitely do it. I've done it before. I've done it, lost weight and stayed in shape and worked out and done all this stuff during plenty of moves. It's a little bit trickier with 3 children now. The state of my reality right now
Yeah.
is the hurricane, living with my dad, and we're coming up on, I think in 10 days, the movers come. We're finishing the house. We're doing a lot of packing. I also have to move stuff from my dad's house to there. So it's a lot of, so trying to like still, I think we can prioritize sleep. I think we can prioritize the type of macros that I need to have. Like we've already been doing fish. Like even when I talked to my doctor, she was like, I think you should be eating fish twice a week. Those kinds of things. Again, that I know, but I do well working with you or somebody that can say, hey, Sarah, I need you to do this, this, this. I love that. It's when I have to make the decisions. I think because I'm a mom, I get decision fatigue. I'm sure you've worked with a lot of women like me that have children. And it's like, I need someone to help me make those decisions and I can follow that. And I've done that in the past. So, all that to say, to answer your question, there is going to be a period, I would say probably towards the end of July, where we can be more strict. Does that make sense?
You'll be in a situation where you can build a routine because you'll be somewhat settled.
Well, because even right now, we're moving to Germany.
Right, right, right. I know the next two
Um,
months are kind of crazy. So
well, and right now, like we had a house and we had a neighborhood, but there's this new policy that's come out that's saying you can't live here, you have to live here. So we're like, so it's like, I don't even know what the house is going to look like. So before, when I told you, oh, yeah, we're living on this post that has this great gym. Well, now we might be living on the other post that might have not as great of a gym, but what we need to do, we can do. But does that make sense? There's
yep.
just a little bit of variables. So I feel like once I moved into the house, Jason's in his job, we have some routine going. I have a place to work out from home if I need. I know where the gym is. To get a schedule, then we can be a little bit more strict. But now it's like, let's just do what I can.
So here's what I'd like to do then. I'd like to get the food handled
Okay.
because that's going to make the biggest
Yes.
difference. So
Yes.
we'll get the food figured out. We'll kind of get a routine, like overall life routine, to the degree
Okay.
that we can. And then I will go ahead and create some general guidelines for your workout program.
Okay.
Kind of help you get started. And then once you're there and settled, we can get more specific.
Because right now we still will have our gym membership until we move. Actually, Jason we're canceling it now. So we have, 30 days or whatever. So I have access to equipment. So we can do what we can. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't want to
Okay.
like create this complicated program that you can do there and then you get there and you can't. So I'd rather just do
Okay.
more of a general thing.
Okay.
So we'll get there. So I want to handle the food first. So
Okay.
1,800 calories I think is the right target. I
Okay.
think we'll adjust that. You'll be able to, I would say, measure every. Do they get mad at you if you want to use the bod pod like a lot because it's work for them?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can ask.
We can at least monitor your weight, like just at a baseline.
They probably don't get mad because I think without insurance, it's only like 50 something dollars. I don't think it's super huge amount of money.
Okay.
But remember, I can't use a bod pad until I get to Germany because there
Right,
isn't one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll use the scale until then, just as
Okay.
a measuring tool. And then maybe every 2 to 4 weeks, once you're there and have access to the bod pod, we can do that.
Okay.
If it's not cost prohibitive or they don't get irritated,
Okay, I'll ask. Yeah.
Because we want to monitor the body fat loss. That's the main thing.
Yes.
We want to have a decent way to do that. But in the meantime, we can just do the scale for now.
Okay.
So because we want to make sure we're not losing muscle, or at least not losing very much muscle, and we're only losing fat. Because otherwise, we'll have to adjust our calories and our macros and stuff to make sure that's happening.
Well, and do you want me to measure? Because I know when I was like doing Beachbody and stuff, everything was like
The food?
measuring, and I can tell the way. No, I mean like
Oh, circumference measurements?
instead of scale, because scale can be a little trickier. Um, but I feel like I know the way my clothes feel going down. In fact, I've actually seen that over just the last year. So I guess what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, that's where I see results the most.
Okay.
That's where I see change the most is my body composition, you know,
So
that kind of thing.
in the app that you're loaded into, you can actually upload measurements like circumference
Okay.
measurements. So if you have a tape measure, then you can do that.
Okay.
And we can use
Okay.
that as a tool too. So,
Okay.
okay. So 1,800 calories. Protein wise, do you measure your protein currently?
I was, but I kind of, yeah, I had uh, my fitness app. Yeah, I had been tracking some macros.
Do you know what number of protein ish you were getting recently? I just want to see how far we have to move the
I
needle
should have
here.
sent you that. Hold on. I'm going to have to
Well, that's
go
fine. No
out of
worries.
this. Is that okay?
I just want
Here,
to
let
know,
me.
am I going to have to coach you like way more protein or maybe you're not too far off, you know?
No, if you give me a second, let me, I know you're recording this. Let
Oh,
me.
it doesn't matter. I can do whatever.
Okay, you'll edit it. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn my camera off and then you can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, I should have sent you that. And actually, I was doing this faster way.
For weight
I
loss.
think
Yeah, I'm
I
familiar
told
with it.
you. Yeah, and what I liked about that is the tracking the macros and things like that. Obviously, we discovered that fasting is not for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pop in my Mindfulness Pal. So I did have someone that had calculated those for me, but that was back in like September, October. But then after the bod pod, Jason and I used ChatGPT
Mhm.
to calculate what I'm gonna tell you. Okay, and I can tell you. I'm gonna look it up.
Maybe I don't have to do this part. That'd be great.
No, 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 you shouldn't because my weight, I think everything's really been the same. Okay, hold on. Where is it? Plan. Okay. Where are you, macros? You can see I've been using it. Like,
So you could share screen, but I don't know how that works if you're on your phone.
no, I could see that option. Here, just give me where the heck is it?
I have the numbers that I would probably go with, but
Oh, it's gonna be interesting. Where am I logging? Okay. Oh, okay, we got it. All right, you ready?
Mhm.
So what I have in here, and actually ChatGPT had me at a lot more calories than you're wanting. I think it has me at 2 something. Okay. Well, I thought I just had it. Trans macros. Okay. Now it's giving me percentages. No, I want the actual. Okay. So my goal for protein is 132.
Mhm. Okay.
The carbs are 199.
Yeah.
But I don't, again, I was surprised when ChatGPT, it was like, oh, I need to eat more, but more of the good stuff. Okay. Fiber is 25, sugar, saying 74, fat 58.
Okay.
That's all we're doing. I mean, it's got saturated fat in here.
Yeah, we can talk about that if you want to. But
Yeah, we usually just track in like the 3 with fiber. Isn't it
yeah,
usually
well,
Okay.
we'll get into that a little bit more. But
Okay. What else do you want to know why I'm in
that's all I
here?
need to know.
Calorie. Well, I wanted, because that tells you the calories, right?
Yeah. So in my opinion,
Okay, I'm gonna get
um,
out of it and then I'll come back.
that's
In your opinion,
pretty high in protein. Were you hitting that number regularly?
no.
Okay. Um, there are reasons to go that high in protein, certainly. Um,
Yeah.
I, if you were in a bigger deficit, so the
Mm,
bigger the deficit, the more the protein, because you've got to try
okay.
to tell your body to stave off the starvation from your muscles, because it'll
Okay.
catabolize your muscles for energy. Um,
Okay.
So we are doing kind of like your bod pod says, which is the 500 calorie deficit, which is kind of a normal range. So I don't know if you know this, but there's
Mhm.
3,500 calories in a pound of fat. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Probably at one time.
Okay, so that means that if you're in a 500 calorie deficit times
Uh-huh.
7, you would lose a pound a week, right? So that's how
Yeah.
the math works. If you were in a larger deficit, then that protein number would need to go up even more
Okay.
because you're more likely to get in that starvation sense, which, especially as a woman, we want to try to avoid that because that really plays havoc on hormones, more so for women than
Mm-hmm.
it does for men.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think the numbers that I'm going to go with 1,800 calories is
Mm-hmm.
100 grams of protein,
Okay.
175 grams of carbs, and 77 grams of fat.
Okay.
So those are numbers that I would like to use. And I'm not saying they're perfect. We'll know as we see what happens with your body, and then we can adjust based on what happens.
Sure.
So let's say we were to do this and you lose, we measure in 3 weeks and you've lost 3.5 pounds, right? Which is great. We're kind of right on point. But you get on there and you've lost a pound of muscle, then we know
Mm.
either the deficit's too large or we need more protein. And then we would make that
Oh,
adjustment. And then we
okay.
would do it again and then measure again and kind of track what your body does. Because all this stuff is just estimating based on the data that we have, right? But you don't really know until you put it into action.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 100 grams of protein, 175 grams of carbs, 77 grams of fat. Now, what that's made up of, the protein, I don't really care. You can get the protein from any source you want. I have no preference.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
In my life right now, I know that you don't use a lot of supplements, but I just have to
Yeah.
at
There's
some
no.
point, like a protein shake or something. Yeah.
So I will
Okay.
tell you the one
Okay.
downside for you, based on your blood work,
Oh.
because your A1C is on that borderline level.
Mm-hmm.
So protein shakes will spike your blood sugar more than food will.
Is it because it has added sugar
No, it's
or
because
no?
protein on its own, that's
Oh.
lean protein still causes a little bit of an insulin spike.
Well,
It's not
okay.
significant, but it does have an effect.
Okay. Well, and it's not like I'm chugging protein shakes. I used to was on doing Shakeology forever, obviously, which I loved and it was but I really don't as much anymore. So why don't I'll just think of that as if I'm traveling or something, use that, that kind of thing.
So do
Okay.
you know much about how like insulin and blood sugar works and that kind of stuff? Are you pretty familiar with
I
that?
do not.
Okay. So this might help a little bit more. So
Okay.
are you familiar with the glycemic index?
You're familiar with it?
Okay. That's going to be a big part of your diet is using the glycemic index. So what
Okay.
that means, that tracks the response, your blood sugar response to food. So
Okay.
when you eat a food, your insulin elevates no matter what you eat.
Hmm.
And the higher the glycemic index, the higher the elevation of insulin, the higher blood sugar response is.
Hmm.
So something like ice cream, that has, I think the scales is like 0 to 120 on the glycemic index,
Hmm.
and ice cream's like way up here at 110. Which means
Hmm.
when you eat ice
Hmm.
cream, it spikes your blood sugar big time, right?
Right.
Which is really
Okay,
bad.
I'm familiar with this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we
Hmm.
want to try to eat
Hmm.
things that are much, much lower on the glycemic index.
Yes, 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 yes.
So we
Does a
want to,
banana spike your blood and does
not
it
too bad. I think a banana is 50-ish.
yeah.
Bananas are totally fine. You're not gonna have
I
any
know
problems with bananas.
yeah, I know people get weird about fruit and stuff, but I've also heard no,
Some
they always
fruits, so like
yeah.
pineapples, mangoes.
Hmm. Hmm. High sugary fruits, usually tropical.
Yeah. So
The
berries,
low
fantastic. Apples,
Yep.
fantastic.
Oh, apples, really?
Yeah, apples are really good. Grapefruit's one of the
Okay.
best. I
Okay.
miss Florida grapefruit all the time.
Hmm.
And
We have a
then
tree.
bananas are fine. Plantains are good. Um,
Well, that's good.
yeah,
I always was because whenever you do a juice, because I used to juice way back, and it's as long as you put an apple in there, it's tolerable. And I just was I just think it has a lot of added sugar. But is it because it has so much fiber with it
yeah,
or
the fiber
something?
helps lower the response.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
fiber and fat help lower the glycemic index of a food.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so
And we
we're
want
gonna
fiber because fiber is helping your gut break down food, or is that what it is?
fiber. It does a couple things, but when it comes to your glycemic index, it slows the digestion of the food.
Which is what we want.
Correct. That means your blood
Okay.
sugar is going to stay more stable.
Okay.
So part of the reason your blood sugar spikes when you eat processed food is because your body breaks it down so fast that the insulin
Simple
floods into your
sugar.
system to process the food. Yeah. Not just
Okay.
sugar. Like potato chips are highly processed, right? Which spike your blood sugar. I mean, it's not just
Okay.
sugar, but
That's true. Okay.
so you want to eat things that are low, ideally low, max of medium on the glycemic index.
Okay.
Okay. So if you can look up any food, hey, what's the glycemic index of X, and it'll tell you. And I can help you figure some of that out, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
And
Low,
I've
medium.
done this before. It's just been a long time. Yeah.
So it's going to be things with more fiber. It's going to be things that have more protein in them. So things like white rice, white potatoes, white bread, all bad, right? We know that. All spikes your blood sugar. Pasta is actually not too bad.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so pasta can work pretty well.
What are your thoughts on protein pasta?
Define protein pasta.
We use it all the time with our children because, oh Lord,
What's a
trying to
bread?
get any type of bread, like
Barilla
sort
that
of the
just has extra protein?
Yeah, it's just instead of just being like no protein, it just has like extra protein,
Yeah,
or
that's
it
all
just
fine.
has some protein. I mean, it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, I mean, regular pasta has 7 grams of protein anyway, normally.
I guess this is probably like a chickpea, is my guess.
Yeah, all that
I
stuff's
feel
fine.
like
That's all good stuff.
okay, good. Okay, any extra protein is going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so you're going to want things with fiber, things that are low glycemic, because that's going to help your A1C, your blood sugar rate, come down.
I'm asking you a question about grapefruit.
Okay.
So what's the best? Grapefruit's pretty. What about pink grapefruit, or has it got to be yellow, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. How do you prepare it? Because like usually people will be
I
like,
get like
put
an
it.
orange. I just peel it.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just thinking if there's anything to put on there besides sugar that would help it be a little bit more.
If you need to add sugar
figured
to
out.
eat it, then don't eat it because
Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay. We'll see.
Eat stuff you
All
like.
right.
You don't need to force
That's all.
anything down your throat.
Okay. Okay.
Almost all green vegetables are really, really low glycemic and come with fiber too, so you can add those into meals to make things better.
Okay.
And those I don't even count calorically. So green veggies are like free filler foods.
Mm-hmm.
So just eat as much of those as you want. If you're hungry, eat those. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fat wise, so typically you only want about 20% of your total fat to come from saturated fats. Given your cholesterol, I would say why don't we try to avoid saturated fat altogether if we can. Some's going to sneak in. You can't get rid of it all completely. And saturated fat isn't even necessarily bad, but in your case, we do want to try to limit that. So the reason your doctor wants you to have fish is because it has more poly and monounsaturated fats, right? Higher quality fats. So we kind of want to go with that too. So you're going to want to get lean protein, which means no fatty meat. So, no ribs, no pulled pork, no ribeyes, once in a while is fine, but like not as a regular part of your diet.
Honestly, I'm not. That's perfectly fine for me.
Not a big
If
fan.
I'm like tempted with a high fat meat, it's usually like a burger.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not even a big bacon person. So that shouldn't be, if I really, really wanted to, I could be pescatarian. It just takes a lot of effort.
Okay. So the good thing about that is fish fat isn't usually saturated fat.
Okay. So I love sardines.
Well, sardines are awesome. I eat them almost every day.
I love them. You do like them with ketchup.
You can get sugar-free ketchup.
Yes. So so that's what I'm saying. Like, so if I'm doing, and then I don't need a lot, but it does help. I can eat it plain if I need to. It's like I can have black coffee if I need to. I get it. But my thing is, well, you eat it every day, which sounds different than what the doctor said. Because I was like, I love sardines, and then I asked about like the whole
mercury.
Yes.
Yeah. Sardines aren't as bad as some fish.
What do you think? So if you're helping me, I literally will eat it every day, but how can I work? Would you say could I eat it for lunch every day, like 5 days, or every other day?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do it every day. I'd really prefer you to get most of your protein from lean
Okay.
sources.
The only thing is because it's fast and it's quick.
Yeah.
I almost look at it like a protein supplement for me, but 3 times a week.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. I'm just asking you why we're
3 times
talking.
a week's
Okay.
totally fine.
Okay. Okay.
Now, if you wanted to do more fresh fish more regularly, you could.
Mhm.
But the canned stuff, I wouldn't go too crazy, just to be safe.
No, we just had fish last night. So I love fish, so that's not a problem. It just can be a little pricey, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. So for your lean sources, you're going to want chicken breast, turkey breast,
Hmm.
pork tenderloin, beef tenderloin. Just the leaner cuts of meat. You're going to want that.
Okay.
The primary.
Okay. Okay.
And then for your fat sources, because what's probably going to happen is you're going to start making changes in your diet and start tracking stuff. You're probably not going to get enough fat, would be my guess.
So
I could be wrong,
where can I love avocados, but where does that fall? That's a good, it's not as
absolutely,
much.
yeah. Avocados are great.
Okay.
So avocados fit in there. Olive oil. So whether it's in
Yep.
salads, whether you're putting olive oil on things, nuts are an
Mhm.
easy one. You'll just need to measure them because nuts add up calorically fast, but they're a good health. They're
Mhm.
good healthy fat source.
Mhm.
Olives, if you like them, I don't really like them, but olives can work. And you're gonna get fat from eggs if you eat eggs.
Oh, yes. I'm a big
Yeah, so you just need to add that in. I
egg.
consider eggs a fat source more than a protein source, but
Okay.
because more of your calories come from fat than they do from protein in an egg.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's good stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But eggs are saturated fat, so you don't want them to be a primary source of fat.
Okay.
But once or twice a week, if you have eggs, it's fine.
Okay.
Do you saute stuff ever?
Yeah.
So use avocado oil if you're going to saute.
Mhm.
Okay. And then fish.
Mhm.
That's where your other fat would come from. So all those sources: olive oil, nuts, eggs, avocado oil, fish, avocados, right? All that stuff's good. Nut butters are good. Maybe not peanut butter, but mixed nut butter
Yeah.
would be better.
Mhm. Mhm.
So all those would be your fat sources.
So no cheese.
So cheese is only saturated fat. That's all it is. If
Even
you
cottage cheese?
cottage cheese is better because it doesn't have much fat.
Okay, well that is like I will eat that all day long too. Not
Okay,
that I do.
okay.
Again, I'm just like kind of looking for things that are easy for me to eat
Mhm.
that I already like. So like,
Yeah, so cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, that stuff's fine.
oh, okay, good. So we do that. So stick with that,
Mhm.
and then like I can add like strawberries, or I mean I can eat it whatever way. Okay, good. Again, I'm just looking for like what kinds of things am I enjoying that I need to cut out type of besides the obvious stuff. Okay. But no like cheese sticks, no like
Nah, I would, if you can
and
avoid it, I would really try to
and
stay away
don't
from that
add
stuff.
it like if we do tacos, or
So
can
you're gonna
I
want,
just measure it
it's
out?
fine if you have a little bit. Yeah, you'll just need to measure
Okay.
it. And you're gonna
Okay.
want drier aged cheeses. Those are the better cheeses.
Okay.
So not the soft cheeses. You're gonna want dry aged cheeses.
Of course. Of course.
Unless you don't care about your cholesterol, then whatever. But
Okay. Got it.
all right, so the glycemic index is going to be the big thing. So for your carbs, we covered the fats, covered the proteins. So we're back with the carbohydrates because you do want to eat them.
Wait, I don't want to get off fats yet. I have
Yeah.
another question.
Okay, sure.
Cottage cheese.
Mhm.
Does it matter? Like my dad has this theory
Yeah, this should be good.
where he's like, he's very well read. It's very good for his age. But and you're probably following with this, like the least amount of processed, so you go like full or fat. But like, how does that play when I'm trying to be calorie deficit?
Yeah, so
So
I
like,
I
so like with
agree
my
with the
cottage cheese,
premise. Yes.
right? But am I getting my two? Should I be getting the 2% cottage cheese?
You should.
Same with the Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Okay,
So here's the thing.
I'm not that
The
crazy.
the um the two proven, I say that in quotes, but there's pretty good documented evidence for it of
Mhm.
foods that move your cholesterol are dairy and saturated fat. Like those have been
Mhm.
pretty well proven over and over again to have an effect on your cholesterol.
Okay.
So, if you're trying to move the needle the other direction, you're best off just trying to
Mm,
avoid them. You know.
okay. Yep.
Now, if it's lean dairy, then it doesn't really matter because there's no fat in there. But once you
Okay.
get that stabilized, you could experiment a little bit and add some of that back and see what your numbers do. But I'd rather get that handled first.
Yeah, and the cholesterol thing will be interesting because since I don't have any other numbers to go from, like this is really the first time. Um, Again, it's like maybe I was just one of those like healthy people that walked around with high cholesterol and didn't know it. And the only reason I said it because of my family history. And then I was just at a wedding with my family, and my cousin I traveled with her and her husband Dave. He's not blood related to me, but he is definitely in shape, tall, lean, takes medication for high cholesterol,
Yeah.
and he's 50. And so that just made me think, oh, yeah. I mean, because again, we didn't know what my cholesterol was when I was super fit either, so that'll be
But
interesting
being
to
lean and
see.
fit doesn't mean your heart's in as good a shape as you think. So,
Right. I know. But I mean, I guess just, yeah. So that's how come the doctor was like, well, we don't need to do any more. Let's see where it is in 6 months
right, right.
after you implement these things, and then we can, yeah. I just never thought of it that way,
Yeah, you
you
could
know?
get advanced scores. You could get, I forget the name of it, but they can do like the blood
I, re-
calcium tests and all that
I
stuff. But I don't
really
think
don't.
you don't need to
Yeah, I
worry
don't want
about
to be
that.
put on medicine because it's like my mom was on high cholesterol meds, my brother is, and I'm like, "Ugh, no."
Yeah, so do implement
Okay.
all this and see. You test again and go from there.
All right.
Um,
All
so
right.
yeah,
Carbs.
so carbs, you want low glycemic stuff. So I just want to make sure to get a few things on the docket that you can eat that'll be good for you. The only rice I'd really suggest would be black rice if you eat a lot of rice. Um,
Black.
yeah, black rice
I
is definitely the
don't.
healthiest
I
rice.
don't eat a lot of rice, but that's interesting. Black
Uh,
rice.
Oatmeal's obviously good. Um,
Okay. Be specific with your oatmeal. It's pretty
don't
broad
do
out
quick
there.
oats, but other than that,
Can I do quick oats? It doesn't have to be steel cut.
it doesn't have to be steel cut, but quick oats would not be my preference.
So no quick oats.
No,
Oh wait. Do you just mean like quick oats like in a packet that you put in a bowl, or
well, even if you get, um, so
rolled oats?
there's like stone rolled and old fashioned, and then there's quick
Okay.
oats even in a container. What that means is they've shaved off a lot of the fiber and shaved off a lot of stuff to cook it faster.
Okay, that's why I want you to tell me what you want me to eat with oatmeal because I love oatmeal, but
Okay.
there's just a lot of steel cut.
Yeah, do steel cut or old
All
fashioned, one
right.
of those two.
All
If you
right.
don't want to wait to cook it, like if just from a time standpoint, then do overnight oats. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Really common way to
Mm-hmm.
do it. So just do that the
Mm-hmm.
night before. Totally fine. Um,
Okay, but however, if I'm like at a hotel or eating breakfast somewhere, it's okay for me to choose an oat, even though they might not be the most fibrous.
yeah, it's still going to be. Well,
Okay.
I mean, let's look at
Uh-huh.
glycemic index of quick oats. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely higher. So it's between 66 and 79. Um, Preferably, we'd be getting things like 55 and lower. But it's not going to be the end of the world if it's a one-off. We just don't want to
Right.
make that a
That's
regular.
what I'm saying. It's like I want like those are like the specifics that I want from you that like help me like have a, like a standard.
So here's the difference, right? Just because I'm looking it up because I have it here. So steel cut oats and old fashioned, 53 and 55, right? Which is a
Oh,
number we want to be lower than. But then instant is
okay.
66 and up, right? So it just
Okay.
becomes more
Yeah,
processed.
yeah, yeah.
So
Okay. Okay. Okay, got it.
I don't know if you like millet or
I do.
um,
I've had it before.
yeah, some of those
Mhm.
other breakfast grains. You can do that.
Mhm.
I don't know what
Mhm.
grits are.
too hard to cook
It's yeah.
and too scary to get
Oh,
at a
they're higher
restaurant.
than I thought. Okay.
Yeah. No, I can live without grits.
Okay. All
Um,
right. So black rice, oatmeal, almost all your pot, not white pasta like enriched flour pasta, but all of your whole grain pastas are like totally fine.
Interesting.
And the chickpea pasta, the black bean lentil pasta, all that stuff's fine. Like you can eat all that
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Lentils are awesome if you like lentils.
Yes, it takes a minute to cook them, but
Yeah. Instant
something I
pot.
use, yeah, yeah, something I used to do about once a year was I did this 21 like vegan detox type of thing. It's not a juice. Trust me, it was tons of food, but that's how I learned how to do lentils and those kind of high fiber things,
Okay.
which was really great. But the problem with that was it was like easy to gain the weight back.
Yeah. So, yeah, the lentils are really good. All your beans, your black beans, pinto beans, garbanzos, all that stuff's good. Um, Fruit, like we talked about before, just trying to stick to stuff that's lower glycemic on the fruits. Regular yogurt, if you like just regular milk yogurt, is good. It's low glycemic,
Oh, that's good.
not just Greek. So Greek yogurt's more for the protein. Regular
Mhm.
yogurt would be more for the carbs.
Mhm.
So that's an option there. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting any couscous. All right, it's good.
We love
Yeah,
couscous.
couscous is solid.
One thing the kids like.
Okay. You'll have to measure the amount of it that you eat, right, to hit the
Yeah, I
numbers.
know.
But
And the quinoa.
yep, quinoa's good.
Okay.
So you know all
Mhm.
this stuff. It's all.
Like I said, I'm getting back on the bike. It's taking a minute.
So then, if we go back to our numbers, how many times a day do you like to eat? There's no right or wrong answer, just kind of what's normal for you.
Mm, well, we eat at night with the children. I can do whatever. But I think I will say that my problem is skipping.
Okay.
Just because I'm going to this house, I'm picking up the kids, I'm running to Home Depot, whatever. So yeah, that's when I have to like prep. That's why I like the cottage cheese with the berries. I can
Yeah,
prep
it's
that, the
easy.
overnight, so that kind of stuff. I just have to like get back into that. I don't know. Like, tell me yours. Like, are you like every 3 hours? Like I've done timed nutrition
Yeah, I've
before.
done it all before too.
Where it was like the 30 minutes of pre-workout, then this and that, and yeah.
So I'm
I can't do that now.
because I
Let's
eat the
just
same
get
thing every day. It's just I just have the food I need to eat, and as long as by
mhm,
the end of the day I've eaten it, it doesn't really matter. But I'm not going to deviate, right? So
mhm,
it's different for other
mhm,
people. Um,
mhm.
I,
But I can do that for a while, like the work week or well, even weekends. Like, I'm okay having like the same thing for breakfast. Like I really can do that. Like I said, the cottage cheese and the strawberry or the oat or whatever that is.
the
And
reason I'm asking is I want to figure out what we're getting per meal and like just the math
okay.
for that. So
So I'm sorry, you didn't answer my question, but I probably derailed the answer. How many times a day are you eating? Or did you say that?
so I eat 4 times a day typically.
What does that look like? I want
Um,
to know.
you want to know
When
my
are you
diet?
waking up? I want to, let's go. When are you waking up at 3? Do not tell me it's 2 a.m. I'm going to,
It's like 1:30 or 2 usually. Um,
not at 30. Oh my
so yeah,
gosh. Wait, when are you going to bed? 6?
it depends between 6 and 7:30 depending on the night. Yeah.
My God. 1:30. Like last week, I was up till 2 a.m. 2 nights in a row. I don't like to do that, but that's the only time I could get this work done.
I'm just a
Okay,
morning
so,
person anyway, and I'm just an extreme morning person. And for me, I like to work out before work, and I work at 6. So I like to go and I ride
wow.
my bike to work. So I need time to get up, eat
Mhm.
breakfast, go to the bathroom, ride my bike,
Yeah, yeah,
work
yeah.
out, eat, shower, then work. So I need a lot of time. Yeah.
Holy smokes, man. That's incredible. 1:30. Okay, so you're up at 1:30.
I'd say on
Then
average, it's like I usually get up at 2:30 is probably the norm. But
okay. I'm
usually
sorry, you hit snooze at 1.
I don't ever hit snooze. That doesn't make any sense. But um,
That's the
snooze
joke.
serves no purpose. I
Okay.
get up
So,
and then I hydrate
mhm,
for the first hour usually. So I just drink water, lots of water. I usually have 40 to 80 ounces in the first hour I'm awake of water.
okay.
And then I'll have breakfast, which for me is a cup of oatmeal, a cup of frozen berries, a tablespoon of flaxseed, a tablespoon of chia seed,
Mm-hmm.
cinnamon,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 tablespoons of mixed nut butter. So that's my breakfast. It's like a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich in a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I will, if I don't work out, I don't have this next meal. But when I work out, when I'm finished, I have 3 cups of Greek yogurt with mixed berries and 2 bananas. So that's usually what I eat after a workout. Uh, and then I will have uh, 10 ounces of pork with 2 ounces of nuts. That's my next meal. And then my last meal is usually 10 ounces of pork, 2 ounces of nuts, and then a bunch of veggies. And that's it. It's real simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Real simple.
So I get a lot of fruit in the morning. I get a lot of vegetables in the afternoon, evening.
Okay.
Evening, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm usually done eating by 2 o'clock, but um,
Okay.
so I like, I do intermittent fasting sort of, but I do it in the evening because I sleep a lot better when I don't have a lot of food in my stomach. So I just prefer to eat earlier. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So I do the same thing every day. And I did keto for years and I'm a big fan of keto for a lot of health reasons. Um, but from a performance standpoint, it's not optimal. So I do carbs for breakfast and then I do carbs after my workout and then I don't do carbs otherwise. So then I just have fat and
So,
protein the rest of the day. And that's worked very well for me.
do you have clients that eat like that?
I mean, I have keto clients.
Oh.
I don't. Yeah, I have some people that not that finish eating that early like I do, but that don't eat carbs in the afternoon and the evening the
Yeah,
same way.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not magic or anything. Some people will tell you that it's not. It's just it will keep your blood sugar more stable. And I get into ketosis because my body can fluctuate really
Mm-hmm.
well in and out of ketosis because I did it for so long. But most people
Mm-hmm.
can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's me. And
Okay.
sometimes, um, if I'm doing cardio first thing, I don't always eat breakfast because I like to be on an empty stomach. If I'm going to go ride for 2 or 3 hours or run or something, uh, but if I'm going to lift, I'll have breakfast usually.
Okay.
Um, so for you, the reason you distribute it on if you like to eat a lot more at one time, or if you'd rather have a couple small hits of meals that's quicker that you don't have to worry about as much, or you could have like 2 small meals and then a double meal for dinner. It's just however you want to distribute that.
Why don't I feel like I can say what the next month will look like until we move? Um, and for a while, I was actually the thing I probably liked about fasting is I can really wait until like 11 a.m. or something if I'm getting up at 6 even. Because I usually get up when I'm sleeping in. I get up at 6 because the kids we leave at like just before 7. I'd love in when we get to our perfect scenario in Germany, right? I would love to get back to like waking up at 5 a.m. and doing stuff. I've done that before and I can do it again. It's just I need that rhythm and, you know, my kids are, what am I talking? What's the routine? There
Mhm.
you go. So, but I think for now, um, I'm usually not eating breakfast in the morning with the kids. I'm usually eating it after I take them. So I could do a breakfast and maybe 2 small lunches, or I don't know. Maybe I should be eating 3 times a day if I don't find time to eat. Like, I don't know what's your experience with other climates that have kind of a life like me with kids and stuff,
It
or like what I'm
varies
telling you.
significantly.
It just okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have two that they're like schlepping all day. They don't even go back home. Like once they leave the house to take the kids, they're just doing stuff all day until they get the kids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they just bring one meal that they can bring in the car and they don't have to worry about going bad or anything.
Yeah.
Um, so why don't we say
Okay.
3 meals a day?
Sorry, and
Just
I'm
to give
also
people.
like I'm an outward processor, so I am thinking of what
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
like I'm talking, but that might not be the answer. We're
I think
putting it
3 meals a
together.
day probably is the best way to distribute this. Um,
Yeah, if
so
that's okay. Yeah, let's do it. That seems very classic. Again, there's all different types of opinions. Like people was like eating every 2 hours and this and that.
So
But I
do you know
also
why that exists? That whole thing?
why?
Because it came from body. Unfortunately, a lot of this.
Marketing?
No, no, no. A
Marketing?
lot of the stuff that we do is based on bodybuilding culture that came out in like the 70s and 80s because that's nobody
Hmm.
really worked out before that. That's where it all stemmed from.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was because bodybuilders were eating 300, 400 grams of protein a day. How are you going
So
to
you
do that
got
if you're eating 3 meals? There's no way. You're not going to eat a 40-ounce steak at lunch. So it really came about from bodybuilders eating all these small meals.
interesting.
It's not
Okay.
better. It's just that was the only way they could get their protein in by spreading it out so much.
And we've taken my protein down a little bit.
A little
So
bit.
like, yeah, I'm trying to understand like
I'm
what
just
that's
taking
going
your
to look
numbers and
like.
dividing it by 3, right? Just to make it simple.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's start there and then maybe I can tweak it and break a meal up or something.
Yeah, yeah. And if you
I've,
miss a
I'm,
meal,
I've
you
done
can
that
double up
before.
later. You can move it around, but
Because I also, again, this is why I'm like, okay, fasting is not that great for me. Well, for the other reasons, but I need the energy to keep me going and in a better mood. So that's why I'm saying it's like we'll do this, but like maybe it might be easier for me to have 2 lunches, but we'll see. Let's start with 3 though.
okay.
So,
So when you go by 3, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's 33 grams of protein, 60 grams of carbs, 25 grams of fat each meal.
so you want to do it evenly,
Yeah.
or is it okay? Okay, I don't think I've done that, so
Mostly for
that'll
your
be
blood sugar,
interesting.
so we can stabilize
Okay,
that more.
that's a new thing. Okay, okay. So 3 meals,
Yeah.
even
Just divide all
macros.
that by 3, right? It's not hard, but
Okay, okay.
and then
What else?
you'll do MyFitnessPal, right? Just to make it simple.
I don't have it, but what about your app? Isn't it the
Oh
same?
yeah,
I
you can
saw
do it in
that
there.
links
Same, it's
up.
the same. Yeah, yeah, you can do it in there. Same deal. So you just plug in your food, it'll calculate it, just like MyFitnessPal.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you can do it in there.
Well, actually, did yours? What is it?
I can set all the macros in there too. So
Yeah, I don't know, just because it does it for free in there, right? Because with my Fitness Pal, you have
yeah, you
to
don't need
pay a
MyFitnessPal.
premium.
I forgot
Okay, then I'll get.
that you're in the app. So yeah,
No, I'll
I'll
get
just
rid
do
of
it in
it
our
then.
system.
Jason uses it, but I told him about this app, and yeah, he's like, "Well, let's cancel that premium." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
as
so
long
you'll do
as
it in our
your
app.
app does that, that's fine."
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
It can get more complicated. It'll spit out like recipes and stuff for you if you wanted to, but that's not
You know,
additional cost, but it's a lot of work for you.
it
Yeah.
is because you know who else did that? The Faster Way app was actually good, but I was like, I can't. I
Yeah. I'm the
can't.
same way. Like people are like, oh, it's so long to meal prep. I'm like, dude, it takes me an hour and I'm done for the week. It doesn't have to be complicated. Like
I know.
the
It's
thing that you need to
complicated when you
prep.
have
No,
children.
no, no, no. The thing you need to prep is protein.
It's
Protein is the
me.
hardest thing to get access to quickly.
Okay.
So that's what you need to prep is meat, basically. Everything else you can make pretty quickly. It's not hard to have nuts and a piece of fruit, with protein. Like it's not
I
complicated.
know. Like my cottage cheese and fruit.
Yeah.
That is a
You
great
will need to
one.
add fat to that. So like if that's a meal of yours, because you want to have all the macros in
No,
each of
I
your
can do
meals.
a
So
I
you
can
could
do
probably
an
do like
avo.
well, you could do like flaxseed or chia seed or something probably in the mix there. It would
Okay.
probably taste pretty good. So
No, I actually for my kids I used to make them yogurt bowls and it has chia seed, flaxseed, a little coconut shavings, granola well, for them granola. But yeah, I like it. I'm here to add it back in.
yeah, so you can do that.
Now and I can do chia seed pudding, right?
What's the pudding made out of? Like sugar-free
Yeah.
pudding kind of thing?
No, you never heard of chia seed pudding? You basically just, I'll have to look up a recipe. I was just having it at my friend Debbie's. It's basically like overnight oats. The way that it sits, it becomes a pudding.
Oh, okay.
But I think the stuff in it is very clean.
Okay.
It'll be
No, yeah,
like,
I don't see why not. You just gotta
sorry, that's what
get
I
those
mean.
numbers to be pretty close. That's all.
Okay. Okay. And the chia seed has additional protein.
A little bit. Hemp seed has more. Chia seed has a little bit, but
Hemp seed has more. Okay.
yeah.
And what about I love pumpkin seeds.
Mhm.
Is that
It's another
so?
good fat source. Yeah,
Okay. But it's more for fat or it's more for protein?
fat.
Okay.
All your seeds are going to be fat sources.
Got
They might come with some incidental protein, but they're a fat source.
it. Okay.
So you still want to add that protein,
Okay.
when you're doing the math,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to be your
Mm-hmm.
primary source of protein for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, meat and dairy are going to be your primary protein sources.
Okay.
You feel pretty comfortable with all that?
Yes. Of course. I have to.
So, my suggestion for now, I can provide more specific meals, but I don't think I necessarily need to. I would just start eating these types of things more often, plug them into the calculator, and then make adjustments. So you're getting close to those macros and just kind of build from there.
Now, your app, can I pull it up pretty quickly? It's got all that preloaded stuff.
Yeah, it's just like MyFitnessPal, same kind of deal.
Okay, thank God. Again, I just need robots to do
Well,
things
and once you
for
do it
me.
for 2 or 3 weeks, you'll probably have your go-tos and you'll know. It's just in the
Hmm.
beginning. You don't have to, once
Hmm.
you kind of know your meals, you don't have to track it necessarily. It's just in the beginning.
Okay, so
We didn't
okay.
talk about this, but we should. You already said you were going to stop drinking or not drink as often. I don't know how much you drink, but
So yes, I was joking with Jason last night. Because you had mentioned Germany and beer, and that's like I don't really do beer anymore. I like a good beer, but that's not a thing. Just like how ice cream is not tempting to me. I could live my whole life and never have ice cream and be fine. Um, but when I do have a drink, it is gin or tequila. I like wine, but I feel like that's more calorie heavy.
it is not by a huge margin, but it is a little bit more.
Okay, give me look.
So look, I'm anti-alcohol, just straight up,
Yep.
but not in a way to like judge people. There's just no health point to it, right? So it serves no purpose in the body.
Right.
Um, one drink a week is like now considered sort of the top end. Like you shouldn't
Okay.
really have more than one drink a week from a health standpoint, right?
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I would say if you want to have 1 to 2 drinks like on a Friday, it's not going to kill you, right? Um,
Hmm.
I wouldn't do more than that if you can help it.
Okay.
Another thing to think about is try to separate your alcohol and your food as much as you can, time wise. So
Mm.
most people don't know this, but when your body, alcohol is a toxin, right? It's a poison, like
Mhm.
technically the way it's
Mhm.
interpreted by your body. So your
Mhm.
digestive system shuts down a lot of its processes so it can attack the alcohol and deal with that. The whole
Mhm.
time it's dealing with the alcohol, the food that you consume tends to get stored, which is why if you drink and eat, you tend to store more fat, like through that
Mhm.
meal. So the more you can separate those, the better. So if you can
Okay.
drink and wait an hour and then eat some food, you're better off.
Interesting.
So just something to kind of know in the back of your head. So if you can keep those things separate, you'll be better off. Um,
Okay.
there are other reasons not to drink, like your cortisol levels. Obviously, it spikes your cortisol, your stress hormones. You don't rest. You can't get into REM sleep when your body is processing alcohol. I don't know if you wear like a Whoop or any kind of tracking thing, but it's really obvious. Like
Mhm.
you'll see it real
Oh,
quick.
I've experienced it
Yeah.
in the past.
The best thing you can do if you are going to drink is to drink like in the afternoon. Then you
Mhm.
got plenty of time to
Mhm.
hydrate, let your system
See,
process
I
it.
know. See, I know. I've come. That's what I was trying to tell you. It's like I didn't drink forever. I mean, not until I was 21. I didn't even drink in college. 'Cause I was too busy. And then I was really more of a social drinker, but then just like most things, like COVID, things slowed down. I'm at home. I have children. So it's like, what are the adult things that I can do that make me feel separate from, being a mom or whatever, having something with Jason, that kind of thing. So I get it. Um, Way better and headed in the right direction for sure. So these are good little like new pieces of information though that can help. with guidance. But
Okay. So then the other thing is if you go out to eat,
Mhm.
which is going to happen, um, sort of two strategies there. One is to fast if you just want to save your calories, right? So you have that big meal, so you're less likely to spill over and consume too
So
much.
you mean fast before I go to dinner?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay. Okay.
Because you're just doing math, right? It's going to be a lot easier to make the math work in your favor if you don't eat all day, right? And you just have the
hmm
meal that you go out. However, it's very unlikely you're going to get 100 grams of protein in one meal,
hmm
right? Very unlikely.
So
So
prioritize protein.
we'll prioritize protein. And if you don't fast all day because you need that protein number, then it's just protein and vegetables. So try to just eat protein and veggies all day. So you're not consuming a lot of calories, but you're hitting
hmm
protein and you save all the
hmm
heavy calories, your carbs and your fats for dinner. It's a budget, right? So you're just managing your budget.
hmm
And then you can do what I do, which is work out for 3 or 4 hours a day if you're going to go out. That's how I do it, but most people can't realistically do that. So
I wish
yeah. So
I
in fact, I went
could.
out. I went to the movies on Friday, and I wanted to have popcorn, so I biked 40 miles that morning.
So crazy.
So I burned about
In
2,000
the best
calories.
way.
Yeah. But for me, I have to,
Okay.
right? That's just the way I have my diet, and if I eat off my diet, I have to earn it. That's just the way I look at food. But, I think that's all I have on food. Low glycemic index, low on saturated fat, very little processed foods, 3 meals a day. Yeah. Do you have any more questions on the food side?
We will revisit food when I live in Germany
Okay.
because then we will know what I have available and what I don't have. And actually, that was the thing with like where we were gonna live, Netzeberg. It has the better commissary. There's Aldi's that are close. So you know that store, it's
Yeah.
German.
Yeah, we have one.
I mean, we do, yeah. Um, and the other one is a little bit further away. Again, it's like when we lived in Korea, I will tell you, berries were very, very expensive. We never had strawberries unless they were in season in February. And I'm talking they were like 20 to $30. Like it's ridiculous. So, but you could get dragon fruit. You could, it just depends like the region. So I'm really gonna have to feel out what can I get.
Yeah, that
Like
makes
Korea
sense.
was great for seafood, but I don't know what Germany is gonna be like. I think people have like the stereotypes, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think like when you think of Europe, do you think like a fresher foods, like no, because that's what people keep telling me, like no less
Well, what
processed
there
or
is I forget the name of it, but there's like 220 items that are restricted in the EU, like food
yes. Okay.
additives.
Right.
And we only have like 9 of those restricted in the US, right?
Right.
Shocker. So the food that you do get is better,
Okay.
just in general across the board. It's
Quality.
better.
Okay. 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 That's what I was trying to get at. Okay. So yes, we'll definitely have to reassess just
Yeah,
to
that makes
see what's
sense.
available. Okay.
I mean,
But
Germany's
other than
pretty
that,
centralized. I'm gonna guess they're pretty good, but yeah, you won't really know until you're there.
okay. Okay. That sounds good. Um,
So with this,
okay.
you'll weigh yourself every week.
Okay.
I tend to like Wednesdays for people because that's a more routine day of the week.
Okay, but how are we taking like my cycle into
Yeah, you
effect with
could you
that?
could avoid that
Does it not
altogether if
matter?
you want. Um,
Or just make a note of it?
yeah, or you can weigh more often and take the averages. You can do it anyway.
Okay. Okay.
And then circumference measurements, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks because you need a little more time for that to take notice
All right. So hold on. I'm writing this down. Once a week.
for weight. At
We're
least
gonna
once a
say
week.
Wednesday. I usually do in the morning.
Yeah, that's fine as long as it's
Right.
consistent. Yeah.
Okay. Um. Okay. And then what did you say? Circumference? You mean like measurements? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because you were talking about doing circumference measurements. So like,
Circumference. That sounds so funny.
um,
Okay.
so that probably every 2 or 3 weeks
Okay.
because the lag time is a little more on that.
Okay.
Once you have access to the bod pod, you could use that instead. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
Okay.
we just need some way to make sure body fat is what's moving.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So strength
Got
training
it.
wise, cardio is going to be a separate thing. So I'm just going to focus on the strength right now. 2 times a week is like minimum standard, right? So as long as you're lifting twice a week, do you think you can lift more than that?
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't exceed 4. So somewhere 2, 3, or 4 days a
Why
week.
is that? I like that, but I'm just curious
You
why.
just get diminishing returns, the more often. And your body needs time to recover. Your joints, your
To
muscles need
recover
time to
to build the
recover.
muscle.
And, we're 40 now. Like, you just can't train as often,
We can't?
Well, you won't recover well if you do. I'm learning that myself.
Really? Really? No. This is interesting because, oh my gosh, I felt like we hit 25. We were like, oh God, you can't. We thought you can't go for long before. You know what I mean? Like, but it's now you're saying if it's too much, you can feel it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like the older we got, the longer windows. Well, I guess it's the same. Anyways, go ahead. Explain to me what you're saying about because of our age and getting closer, your body just can't.
You just don't recover. So most of your recovery is like cellular regeneration overnight. Like that's how
Hmm.
all your body recovers. You just don't repopulate cells at the same rate as you age. So you just don't. You quite literally do not recover and replenish new cells like as often as you age. You
Okay.
just can't recover the same.
Okay.
So
So
3 or
does
4
that
times a week
mean?
would be like the top end of physical strength training.
So does that mean like it's just doesn't make sense to do it that much since we're not going to get the same payoff as when we were in our 30s or 20s? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you need it
Because
for
I'm like some
mental
people
stuff,
do.
sure. Yeah. I mean, I lift 4 or 5 days a week still often.
Okay.
But the higher the intensity is, the harder it is to recover. So some of that depends on intensity too.
Okay.
So we'll get into more
Interesting.
of that anyway. But I would say for lifting, like strength training, not just activity, I'd say 3 or 4 times a week. I wouldn't do more than that.
Okay.
And if you prefer 4, we'll do 4. If you prefer 3, we'll do 3. I don't necessarily have a preference. It'll just determine how we split the body up. So do you have a preference between 3 and 4?
I'm looking at my schedule in my head. Probably do 4. I feel like now we should shoot for 4 while I'm in a stable environment and have access.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe kind of get ahead of the move.
So there are
Okay.
two schools of thought here. I think I know where you're going to want to go, but you tend to go like upper lower split. So you like do upper body stuff one day, you do lower body stuff another day, or you do full body and you do like vertical patterns and horizontal patterns on different days. I'm going to guess you're more of a full body
I
type.
like a no, I
No?
like a
Okay.
split. I
Okay.
do like a split because then I feel like I get to give that muscle area a break.
Mhm. Okay.
So
So
that's like nice to me. Like, okay, well my legs will hurt tomorrow, but they can have a break.
yeah. Okay. So we'll do upper
Okay.
lower split. That's kind of how we'll do that.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Lower, I'm going to put all of your core work, your PT stuff on your lower days. It
Okay.
just makes more sense to include on those days.
Yeah. Hmm.
So you would do that after your primary leg work. Then you would do all your stuff on those days, unless she's telling you to do it more often, or they're telling you to do it more often. But
I don't even
at least
I don't
on
know.
your 2 leg days, your 2 lower body days, you'd add all that stuff in at the end.
No, it makes sense. But you like to see it, you think it's good at the end instead of the beginning?
Yeah, because all of that stuff's going to weaken what you can do on your legs because your core will be
Okay.
fatigued. So Your core is like the crux of all the movements that you're going to do, right? So if you fatigue that
Hmm.
before you do the big stuff, it's not going to go well. Um,
Yeah,
and
got
ideally, you train
it.
the same amount of muscle mass ish each day for hormonal purposes.
Okay.
Um, so upper, I don't want to get too far into like exercise selection because for the next couple months it's going to be so varied for you. Um, but we can split it up in like simple ways, right? You got horizontal push, horizontal pull. You know what I mean by that?
Kind of.
So a horizontal push would be like this way, right? Some kind of chest
Hmm.
move, right? For lack of a
Hmm.
better term. And then horizontal pull, some kind of row move, right? Bring it behind
Hmm.
you. And you got a vertical push and vertical pull.
Okay.
So those are your bodies. So push and pull, and then arm work if you want to do specific arm work.
Please give me all the arm work.
Okay. So then it's just bi try. So that would be
Trying to
your
get
upper body
my
day, right?
trying to get
That's
my Madonna arms back.
so that's how you would split that up.
Hmm.
Um, and then on legs, you're going to want to do whatever your big, um, I call it a hip dominant movement, but whether it's a squat, it's a deadlift, a lunge, whatever your hard move is going to be. We talked before about I don't think you should do those heavy loaded spinal things yet.
I think we should not do a lot of compound
Right,
moves.
right, not lower body wise. So
Yes.
um, a
Hmm.
couple things that are
Because
really
that's
good.
the twisting. I can't, the twisting, anything that I come up, I usually modify. Like any type of, it's a little harder on my back until we get that.
Yeah, I'm not going to have you do any rotational stuff, but
Okay.
you'll have to tell me stability wise, like Bulgarian split squats would be something I would definitely want you to do, unless you don't feel like you can stabilize your spine and your hips, like in a neutral plane.
Okay.
You familiar with that exercise?
It's been a minute, but yeah.
So, like, I would want that to be one of your primary ones. And then probably reverse lunges would be your other big move.
And you're going to be writing this up, right?
Yeah, I'm going to build it in the software.
Oh, okay.
I
Great.
mean, I'm writing it down, but I'm going to build it in there.
Okay.
Now, there's videos on there, but they're not super in depth. So,
I know. I'm very familiar.
okay.
Trust me, with doing coaching in Beachbody for years, like, yeah, I've seen a lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, and then lower body wise, you kind of have your hip dominant, your quad dominant, your hamstring move. Those would be like your big three with some accessory stuff on top of that. So I'll help build out that a little bit. And then you would do your abs and your core, and that would be like your lower body day. And then when it comes to cardio, um, you can do cardio on the same days if you want. You probably
Okay.
aren't going to want to do hard cardio before your leg workout, right? This makes sense. Um,
Let me tell you what I have. I'm
I
probably
know
gonna
you've
have
been
to
doing the
pack
stairs
it.
a lot, but
I have a 25-pound weight vest that I like to walk with because it gives me that extra, and I can feel it in my legs, and it doesn't hurt my back at all.
okay.
It's wait, is it 20 pounds? I think it's 20 or 25. I'll have to check. Um, the only thing is like that I'm gonna have to pack that in like a few days.
Okay.
Well, not a few days, like 2 weeks
So,
maybe,
well, let
but
me ask you this.
because I do like the reason I'm telling you I like my walks is because it's very easy for me to do because I pop out. Like my dad is gonna be helping out. He'll like take the kids to schools in the morning so I can get up early. It's just so hot here. I do not like walking on the treadmill. So, but I'll get up early and do it before I get baked, you know. But I like walking because it's really good for my back.
okay. So,
Does that make sense?
yeah. So
But
there's
but
from
more but I want to hear what your cardio
yeah.
thing
So from
is.
a
Okay.
objective health standpoint, there are some guidelines that are like for optimal health,
Mhm.
which is 60 to 120 minutes of zone 2-3, which would be like you're walking with a weight vest would probably get you in there. Does your watch measures
The
your heart rate, right?
stairs. Yeah, and we can come back to this. I did want to ask you about a watch recommendation because I've had Jason has gone back between Garmin and Smart, but I know, and I just have an Apple Watch, but like I'm more than happy to get a Garmin or something that's more accurate if that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, they're
Or does it
um,
matter? Or it's all
the watches all have
estimated?
some room for error.
Okay.
Whoop is pretty accurate, but it's not a watch. So if you need a watch, then it wouldn't really help you.
What is Whoop? Is it an app on your watch?
No, it's like its own thing, but it doesn't have
Okay.
there's no face, so it doesn't interrupt you. It doesn't get in the way of anything. It just monitors all your health stats.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, is there something else I can do? But you would wear that all day still.
Yeah, I sleep in it. I wear it all the time.
Okay.
I take it off when I shower and it gets mad at me. It's like your whoop needs to be on your body. I'm like, okay, it'll be
Oh,
okay for a few
really?
minutes. Like, yeah. Um,
Okay.
I don't really have a preference. I don't like Apple products and how they use their stats, like the way they use the numbers and stuff. I just don't really like the way they do it.
Okay.
Um, I have a Garmin also for tracking runs and biking and that kind of stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I've got this and I can get the other thing that's like a little bit more accurate, I'd be
Yeah, I
fine
mean,
with that. I don't wear a
I
lot.
don't know that it's
Okay. Okay.
necessary.
Maybe not now. You're saying not now. It's not.
Yeah, I don't think it would matter that much. Um,
Okay.
but so ultimately, your zone 2, zone 3 cardio for like an hour and a half to 2 hours a week. So that's 60 to 80% of your max heart rate, is what that means.
Hmm.
On Garmin, they're color coded. I don't know on your watch, but
No, yeah, I know I've seen where I can go back and look. I'm just
so
terrible at like
the thing
doing
you'll have
that.
to figure out, like anecdotally for me, right? My cardiovascular system's very good. Walking, even with a weight vest, wouldn't do that for me, right?
No, it doesn't do that for me either.
Yeah, so you're going to need
That's
not a
why I
lot
need do
higher
the
intensity,
stairs.
but a little
That's
higher
why I do the
intensity.
stairs.
Yeah. Or
Because
to
it
north of
doesn't hurt my
incline.
back.
You know.
It doesn't hurt my back though.
Yeah. But you're just going to need an hour and a half to 2 hours of that kind of cardiovascular work.
A week.
Yes. And then ideally, you want 5 to 15 minutes of that zone 4, zone 5, like that high intensity cardio per week as well. So there are different
How am
ways
I
to
gonna get that?
get that. With equipment, you can use things like a ski erg. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Hmm.
the rower probably wouldn't be good for your back. Um, ropes can
We
do it.
had one.
Ropes can do it. Assault bikes do it for me. That's what I use. Again, it depends on what you have access to. I know you're not running, so that wouldn't really work. Swimming
I
can do it
just,
too.
yeah.
Swim sprints will do it, but again, harder to accomplish because you need a pool. Um,
Liverpool.
you probably are not supposed to be jump roping. Maybe because the load's a little different, but
I could try. I've done it in the past. It's just, again, it's just it really start to piss off my back with
yeah, it's
running because
not. I wouldn't want you
I
to.
was running in the beginning when I moved here, and I was advised by my
Yeah, it's
chiropractor
not
to
worth
not.
it. It's not. The risk reward isn't worth it. But
Because yeah, the other thing is with weights, for me, we have to work in stretching and yoga mobility because of my anterior
mhm,
rotation. That's why my tailbone gets pissed off because it's doing this.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah,
And so until it gets more neutral, it's doing this. And so what happens is after my lower body days, this really hurts because everything has been tightened and annoyed. And so then I have to make sure I can always tell I'm like, I need to stretch, I need to do this. So we need to think, I would like to try to work that in just for like my own time sake, my time management with everything we have going on. Because that is going to keep my back, my lower back, and my tailbone happy.
yeah, yeah. I get you.
So then I'll feel better with the workouts.
Yeah, some of that's gonna be exercise selection too, doing things that aren't
Okay.
gonna aggravate that.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Which, by the way, again, I'm a certified yoga instructor. I love doing yoga. I love going to classes. So even the gym we're at now has free classes, which are great. So,
Yeah, there's some
and
stuff you'd have to avoid, like cobra poses and some stuff that just probably wouldn't be great for you. You know,
mhm.
um, but you should know enough to know what to stay away from.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So cardio wise, though, cycling, like hard cycling, is probably the safest. That at a skier because it's not likely to aggravate your back too much.
It aggravates my tailbone.
You what?
It aggravates my
Sitting on
tailbone.
the bike seat? Okay,
Hmm.
then yeah, that wouldn't work.
Well, how long though?
Not long. You'd just be doing sprints.
Well, we could work. We did have a bike, but it died from the hurricane. It got flooded.
You biking
Um,
outside, you won't be able to. It won't be hard enough.
I know. No, like we had a stationary bike.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I'm saying. Um, but they have a stationary bike at the gym.
Yeah.
Maybe I just need to try it.
Well, I would. You're not biking. Would not be one of your long-term cardios. That would just be for the
The
5 to 15,
sprint.
because it's 5 to 15 minutes a week. So every workout you could do like two 30-second sprints, and you would add up, to that
What
number.
I'm telling you is like maybe include the bike in my sprint because if it's not for a long range, that might be good for me.
Okay.
Because I think for me, it's the long bike ride
Yeah.
that starts to hurt because I'm in that position. Plus, when you're sprinting, I mean, I could even try spin class. They have them.
Yeah.
I could try it and see
Yeah,
how that
that's
made
the
me
bit. You will
feel.
be on the seat for a long time, though. I don't know that that.
All right, all right. Then I'll just. Well, I mean, yes. Let's think about the bike because that might work.
Okay. But the stair stepper will get your long duration stuff for sure.
The stair stepper is going to get my longer stuff.
Yeah, because you can
The
do that.
zone 2, zone 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're not going to incline walk because you don't like being on a treadmill. So.
No, but like I don't know that stair stepper. I'm like dying sometimes.
Well, then maybe that works for your 5 to 15. Then.
No,
I
I
mean,
think that's gonna be my bigger one. No, I'm serious. I'm like sweating and
well, you
like,
just need to look at the numbers, to see.
okay, you know what? I could probably go back and see what they were.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
Yeah. Stair stepper's no joke.
No, and like I sprint, like that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like some I have to like run a little bit. Okay,
So that might
that
do it.
might work. Okay, that might work. Okay. That and the bike, as long as I don't have to be sitting as much, I can definitely do it.
Okay.
We can at least try it. Okay. Um,
Okay. So I've got a
oh,
pretty good idea here. Do you want me? I think what I'm going to do for now, I'll build an upper body day at the gym and then an upper body day at home. And kind of the same thing
okay.
with lower body. And then you can just pick the one based on what you got going on.
Okay.
Um,
What'd
Lower
you
body
say?
wise, do you have anything at home? Like kettlebells, dumbbells, anything?
Yeah, Swift kettlebells. The only problem is we're gonna be moving with them in 10 days.
Okay. So,
But my dad has big weights, so I can access something.
okay. Then I'll work on that. So exercise wise, what we want more than anything for now, when you have a traditional gym access, assuming you do in Germany, then we
Hmm.
can get more on the strength, like true strength protocol,
Hmm.
like 6 reps
Hmm.
and lower, and like at least on upper body. We're not going to do that for your lower body yet.
Hmm.
But for now, I'm going to focus more on just stimulus, just for those muscle groups.
Okay.
And then we'll get the strength portion later on.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to search. I'm gonna see if I can find anything.
One thing I like about the Whoop is it breaks down those zones for you. Let's see if I can
Okay.
find it.
And I don't know.
It's
This
cool.
is why Jason calls me a boomer.
I don't know. Yeah, so you can see like it's backwards, but it says like how many heart rate zone 1 through 3, how many hours I've been into it, and then heart rate in 4 and 5,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
4 minutes. Yeah.
yeah.
So it kind of breaks that down
That,
for you, so it's easier to monitor.
that's what I'm saying. It's probably in here. I'm just lazy at accessing the information. That's what I mean by boomer.
Well, and
Oh, but
there's some efficacy to being sort of data agnostic as well. That's doesn't work for me because I like the data. It helps me stay informed. But for some people, that's sort of inundating and annoying, and they don't like
No,
it.
I'm like I'm the exact opposite of you, which is why I'm working with you. So you can help me with some of that stuff. That's like just my personality. It's like, I'm not someone that's like in the weeds with the details. I'm somebody that trusts a person that is doing that because it's just not where I get my
I just don't like to
motivation
guess.
or whatever.
I like to know. I don't like to guess.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't need to know. Ignorance is bliss. No, I know. I get it.
So I will. What I'm going to do? Yeah, I got time. I'll do it after we hang up. I'm going to get in the system. I'm going to build the macros for you,
Okay.
and then I'll start building
Hold,
some workouts.
hold on one second. Someone just knocked on the door. So,
I don't have
yes.
much more to go. I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to build some of this stuff in the software. So I'll start the workouts.
Okay.
As I build the workouts, try them out. If stuff doesn't make sense or stuff in the gym, doesn't make sense, just tell me and we can get in there and tweak it.
Okay.
And then the food, like I said, start tracking what you're doing now. You're already making some changes. Start eating this kind of stuff and see where you land, and then just tweak it to try to hit those numbers more. It's going to take you a week or two to kind of figure that out.
Okay.
And then take a look on your watch for your cardio and see what zones you're hitting. You can look at the past data, or just next time you do it, kind of watch it and see where you land. And then hopefully, 4 months from now, 5 months from now, you go back to the doctor and retest, and your cholesterol's down and your blood sugar's down, and all that stuff's pretty solid. So.
Okay.
You got anything else for me? Anything else you want to know about?
No. Here, I'm gonna move the meeting.